Welcome into the 785 Live post-game show. I'm Griffin Hughes here with Maicke. We called the game on KJHK. Maicke, it was a well-fought game all the way through, and it seemed like every single break that happened, we were talking about something different. At one time it was Baylor's going to run away with this game. The next break it was Kansas is going to run away with this game. And the next one it was whoever gets the last possession is going to win. I mean, it changed so dramatically, but how was Kansas at the end able to come away with a 10-point win?
Well, what Kansas just does so well to teams, they're good teams too, they just methodically are so dangerous. They can break you down and they can make you play outside of your comfort zone. They make you play their game more so than they'll find themselves playing yours. And that's what happened earlier. That's when they came out on fire. Baylor had a great game plan. They were executing it. They were getting the ball in the paint. And they were making Kansas play their way instead of how Kansas would be comfortable playing here. Once I think Bill Self calmed them down at halftime. They made some noticeable good adjustments. They did a better job on Rico Gathers in particular. He still had a big game, but he always does. I think that the timely baskets mixed with good coaching and able to break down that zone finally in the second half was huge for the Jayhawks.
Rico Gathers, it looked like at one point was going to get 30 points in the game and 28 rebounds.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a beast down there, down in the low post. Eventually, Kansas was able to calm him down, at least on the boards. He still finished with 18 points, but what was the key for that?
Well, you're right. You have to contain him. He's going to get points, and he's going to score, and you can't beat yourself up when he does make some of those easier baskets. But what Bill Self even mentioned in his post-game conference, he was making shots that the Jayhawks would want him to take, and I was thinking that too. Some of these shots were fadeaways from the corners, these hook shots that a finesse player would have, not so much Rico Gathers. And the first thing that doesn't come to your mind is, or finesse is not the first word that comes to your mind when you see Rico Gathers. So he's just expanding his arsenal down low, and he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you think of is how good is this guy going to be when he moves on to the next level? Well, he's got, a 6'8", 275-pound frame, and he's got those finesse moves. I mean, he really demonstrated his full array of low post moves. It was something that Cliff Alexander doesn't have in terms of being able to move down low. Is he going to be able to develop that arsenal come tournament time, or is this a guy who just for this year has to be a brute strength kind of player?
I think he's going to get a little bit better. You're right. Cliff's his low post moves are very limited. He is more of that brute force guy, but even if he is going to have to be that, that's something that a team really could use. He's going to be a very good role player in March, and you could tell that his confidence is growing game by game, and I think this was a big game for him. He didn't necessarily play well, but he got some great experience against one of the top-level big men that doesn't get a lot of national praise, so I think this was a really important learning game for Cliff.
We do get a lot of we made some predictions before the game about how Cliff is going to struggle against the Baylor down low and how big they are, and it turned out that was absolutely correct. He came out, he looked good, but Rico Gathers was backing him down like it was nobody's business, and Motley got in there, and Torian Prince was playing well. It was the Baylor bigs that came out big today, but it seemed like that it was the perimeter play that really let them down. It was a lot of missed threes for them. But Kansas, their number one three-point shooter, Brandon Green, he missed a lot of threes as well, and Kelly Oubre was able to step up there. Are you finally starting to see kind of a next man up mentality from Kansas? If Green doesn't do it, then Kelly Oubre will, and is that going to carry them into the tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. And this team to me is just a lot different than the other Kansas teams in the past. Kansas is just so known for having that dependable big man, whether it be Withey or Thomas Robinson, Darrell Arthur. Last year with Joel Embiid, who is still learning as a younger big man who hasn't played for very much, but. This is a next man up team because there is so many lethal perimeter players. Say Kelly's having an off game, we'll have to swing it over to Green now. Say Green can't shoot well, we'll have to pass it down to Wayne on the baseline. They're so able to hurt you from so many different ways. That's what makes this team different and special too. I think they're going to be a very tough out in the tournament.
Going against West Virginia next, they're playing against that deadly full court press that West Virginia runs so well. Bill Self said in the presser that he was actually putting 8 guys on the floor in practice when they were preparing for West Virginia. Going into that game, who's going to be the key?
Well, I think it's going to start with Frank Mason. It's so hard to be a guard playing against that rigorous defense of West Virginia. It's impressive that they can keep it up for 40 minutes, but they are tough. They trap you. They make you pick up the ball where you shouldn't pick up the ball. And so it's up to Frank Mason and Devontae Graham, too, to be cognizant. When you're a backcourt player, those trap teams can really give you nightmares.
Do we get predictions for that game?
Yeah, I think that Kansas is going to come out on top. It's going to be a battle, but I'd say 75-70, close game.
You know what I'm actually going to say? I'm going to say Kansas loses that one. I think it's just you got to play so tenaciously. You got to play so tough when you come up against that press, and to have such a quick turnaround. They got to go to Morgantown on Monday after such a tough game today against Baylor. I just don't think that they're going to be able to have the stamina to run with West Virginia, and then the Mountaineers are going to go on that little run. They're going to put up a 10-0 run, and suddenly Kansas is down by 12, and the game will be over. I mean, I don't want to say it, but I think, it's just such a quick turnaround, and against two teams where it just takes so much out of you to play, to have to turn around that quickly. I think West Virginia ekes out a close one. I think it's going to be, a game in the 70s, probably a 73-68 game that West Virginia comes out with it. So we'll see on Monday. For Maicke, I'm Griffin Hughes from Allen Fieldhouse after Kansas's 10-point win over Baylor.